Views and opinions expressed are not necessarily those of the staff or management of the Flavors of Northwest Arkansas podcast.
Well, hello there, and welcome to this week's edition of the Flavors of Northwest Arkansas podcast. I'm John Engelman. Thank you for being here. Today we talk to Katie Boykin, co-owner and chief operating officer of Bentonville Brewing Company. Also, it's the big BITE NWA ticket giveaway episode. But before we get to those, food news. We kick it off with some beer news. Those of you that are fans of Moth Brewing have seen on Google that it says they're temporarily closed and their phone is out of order and their website is down. But fear not. I emailed and heard back from founder Bradley Riggs, and he told me that they're reworking the website and they're focusing on the wholesale side of things, which means they don't run a tap room any longer. However, still looking forward to what they cook up next. Hope Ray used to manage Conifer, and now she's the manager of her own spot with Chef Jamison Hall as they'll be opening Handshake at the vacant cafe space at the Fayetteville Public Library. Handshake was originally slated to be in an older building on South College. Here's why they pivoted.
It's all about timing. There was absolutely no back alley deals or bad blood or anything like that. It was just timing, right? We needed to make sure we were in the right financial position to take that on. And at that time, we weren't. We were going for certain things. They didn't work. And so luckily, when the library put out that we could put in a proposal for the deli space, it worked out great.
They'll also be open later than the library, and that's when the cafe takes on a whole new life.
You feel like you're getting away with something, right? By having a beer at the library or a glass of wine at the library after hours. It's just going to be a fun place to commune. And we want to make sure that we are able to kind of feed our local DIY and music talent as well. Why not have a jazz band? Why not have a punk band? Why not, set up our incredible DJs in here? It's a big space.
Keep up with the progress at Handshake Fayetteville on Instagram. And how about this? There's a cool new spot coming to Fayetteville at 129 West Lafayette. It's called Moonhouse. And man, I am digging how this thing looks. It is a 2-story house with a fun backyard that, by the way, does have a hammock. On their Instagram, they say that it's more than a bar and more than a cafe. They'll also have sushi and bites. They have set their grand opening date for September 18th. Speaking of new and cool, in downtown Springdale, Bienvenue truly turned into Bistro 16 in 1 week. A heck of a flip. In case you didn't know, I have a monthly podcast with the executive chef William Mock from there, and that comes out on the 15th of every month, and it's called Bienvenue, B-I-E-N, the know. It'll be up on this coming Monday, and they'll be talking about flipping into Bistro 16 and the building out of the new menu. The food's not going to be much different from Bienvenue. Mermaid has been looking for a spot in Fayetteville for a while now, and they've locked up an event space. They're building out a spot at Mission in Crossover in the Cantor Center called the Golden Venue. They're taking the old Girls Gone Barbecue and El Sol spots. They're now taking bookings for October, November, and December. Our buddy Reese Roberts, who co-owns Leverett Lounge and Sidecar in Fayetteville, put out the call on an Instagram poll for restaurant and bar owners in the area asking if this fall is slower than last fall for them. 90% said yes. That was 27 votes, and 19 or 20 are from the Fayetteville area. Just 3 said that no, they're good. Please get out and support the local establishments. They very much need you right now. Dining in the Dark is back at the River Grille Steakhouse. Now, if you haven't been, it's pretty much where you don't know anything you're eating or drinking because you're blindfolded and you use other senses. It's very popular. In fact, owner Brenda Swango talked about it extensively when we sat down with her, and she has some neat stories from it. We aired it back on January 29th if you want to check it out. Keep in mind, it was our first video podcast. Little side note, I was still learning on the video side there. Anywho, check out River Grille on Facebook or Instagram if you'd like to make the October 2nd seating. The folks at Bentonville Brewing Company have been through a lot. Remember when you were in your 20s, at least I was, and moved around apartments quite a bit? That's kind of how Bentonville Brewing started. In fact, Bentonville Brewing wasn't always in Bentonville. You'll hear that scar tissue from co-owner and COO Katie Boykin. She'll also talk about how she was able to keep the staff paid during COVID, and there were some pretty genius ideas that very much helped. Finally, what about the beer? Now, Katie's going to talk about the first beer they ever brewed commercially, and she'll also talk about their staples, including the Homewrecker IPA and Space Goose Hazy IPA, and a beer that won a big national award. We'll talk with Katie Boykin next. Oh, but before we do, it's the moment we've all been waiting for. It's 2 tickets for Friday, Saturday, and Sunday for BITE NWA happening September 19th, 20th, and 21st. Thank you all who entered. There were literally hundreds of you. Now, I'm doing it out of a crock pot because it's fall and it's kind of right to do it, right? I mean, it fits. Anyway, if you're just listening and not watching on YouTube, you can definitely hear me swirling everything, and I am now going to pick the winner. Congratulations goes out to Taylor Knowlton at Taboo22. Taylor Knowlton, you are the winner. I will reach out to you here shortly, and we will get you squared away. Congratulations. Now, we'll hear from Bentonville Brewing and Katie Boykin. That's next, right here on the Flavors of Northwest Arkansas podcast.
Teachers are dynamic leaders, shaping a new generation, innovating to prepare students for our fast-changing world. They're skilled experts, discovering a universe of solutions, telling stories, inspiring, mentoring, connecting cultures, leading by example. Teaching is a journey that shapes lives. Are you ready to begin? Explore teaching at teach.org.
Welcome back. We are at Bentonville Brewing Company, and we are with co-owner, chief operating officer. Does that sound right? Did I get the title right? It's Katie Boykin. How are you?
I'm good. You got the title right.
Excellent.
For now, at least, until it changes again.
Of course, of course. Well, thank you for being here. Thank you for having me. Thank you for being here. You're always here, but thank you for meeting me here.
Of course.
I'm already tongue-tied because I'm a fan of this place. And you celebrated 10 years in February, and I was here for that, and it was a great event. And unfortunately, I had to leave before the party actually started going. So, congrats on 10 years. Tell me, does it feel like it?
Sometimes it feels like we've been doing it forever, but other times it feels like I am still like learning as I go every day.
Yeah.
So. But it's been really fun. It's easier to think back on it in the segments of the different places that we've been, and it looks very different when you look back. So
for sure. So where are you originally from?
I am originally from Rockford, Illinois.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Nice. And you moved out of Rockford to, I guess, late teens, early 20s, and that's where you met your husband.
Yes. I went on a ski trip with my family and went to Colorado when I was about 16 and was like, wow, as soon as I can, I'm moving here to this place.
That's
so,
great, yeah.
As one does, you end up in Fort Collins. I went to CSU, found out quickly Fort Collins is not where you go if you want to be a Warren Miller style ski bum, but that was okay because it was still
That's
great.
very specific, and I like it. Yeah, old school Warren Miller. Continue, please.
But yeah, I met Bo out in Colorado.
Okay.
The way you used to meet people at a bar.
Gosh, does that happen anymore?
I sure hope so. We're really missing out on it if you're not just like randomly talking to people next to you at the bar.
It's so great. Put the phone down for just
Absolutely.
5 minutes. That's all we're asking, 5 minutes. So you guys meet there. Was he in the beer business there?
No, he worked at a record store. He was the
Heck
manager
yeah.
of a record store. So,
Outstanding.
was really shooting up.
Hey, look where you are now, huh? So how did you guys get together? How do you decide to go from Fort Collins, Colorado to Bentonville, Arkansas?
That's a great question. There was a few different parts of that. We had been out in Colorado for a while, and more people were moving there, and it was getting more expensive to live. We knew we wanted to start a family, and his folks lived in Mississippi, and mine lived in Illinois. So we were looking at our finances and what we wanted to do. And we said, if we're going to stay in Colorado, we're going to have to move out of town, maybe like more in the mountains, or we should move home to near one of our parents. And when I say near, we were like, well, we can't get too close. So I was like, how about Wisconsin? And he's like, well, what about Arkansas? And we'd driven through Arkansas to visit his folks in Greenville, Mississippi.
Sure.
And it was beautiful, you know, coming through Oklahoma and like going through the mountains and then down into the Delta. It was very pretty. And coming from Colorado, you're like, wow, everything's so green, like all the time.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And so that was very attractive. But what really sealed it was that we had a friend out here who was living. His name's Lee Robinson. He's my brother-in-law now.
Oh, nice.
But Lee said, hey, I'm thinking about starting a brewery. And you know, if you guys are looking to move, I could really use some help. So we said, hey, look, there's a job there.
How about that?
And it's a fun one.
Yeah.
Being in Colorado, especially in Fort Collins, there's just so many great breweries and not even, like, I mean, there's the big ones like New Belgium and Odell's, and but there was lots of smaller ones, specifically sour ones and ones that only did German stuff and only did Belgian stuff. And it was really a cool place to turn 21.
Oh,
it's very different than buying a 30 rack of Natty. Yeah. You're like in a backyard playing beer pong with 18 or 1554 dark lager. So it was very different.
Heck yeah.
But that was basically like how we knew we wanted to do that. We knew people who worked at breweries. We'd take people to breweries on brewery tours, and they'd come and visit us in Colorado. And you could just see how they affected the community and how they were like this really cool keystone that, you know, we knew there wasn't one at the time in Arkansas, or at least nothing quite of that caliber.
Right.
So we had a job, and we knew that it rained there, so we were like, let's go.
Right. That's a plus. I also moved here from the desert, and as I was in my big Penske truck, you know, hauling my car behind me, kept getting a little greener and a little greener and a little greener the further east I went, and I thought, humidity. Just a little bit. Not Houston, just a little humidity is nice. And yes, the fact that it was raining, that it would rain every once in a while was also great. That's good. So, how did you guys find your first spot, and where was it?
Well, our first location was on Southeast 5th Street in Bentonville. So now it's called the Market District, and there's like cool stuff around it. Right. But when we were there, it was just a bunch of, I mean, it was really like the older part of town. There was a, Airship was still in that building with us. Right now, if you are in Bentonville or you're trying to think about what I'm talking about and you're looking for a reference point, Airship has a coffee shop right where our brewery taproom was. Okay. And then on the other side of that same metal building was where the brew house was. And then Airship was our neighbor. So we were like, that's cool. We have a coffee roastery next to us. But they didn't have a place you could walk in, and, you know, there was not Blue Fish Market. There was not all this other cool stuff that's there now. Sure. So it was definitely interesting. We started off with our hours being, we weren't really sure what to expect. In Colorado, breweries open up during the day, and they pretty much close when people shift gears to the bar scene. But we knew that really wasn't where this community was. Right. So we were open 4 o'clock, Tuesday through Sunday, and we closed at 11. Okay. So we were very part-time, and it was like me or like 2 other girls who you'd see in there all the time.
All right. Great.
And we chose that basically just based on price, proximity to downtown, and it was in a neighborhood. So we thought this would be good rather than being like amongst other businesses trying to capture foot traffic. Sure. It was like the idea is let's capture the neighborhood's heart and be like that corner bar
Absolutely.
or whatever.
For sure. Totally. So you were there for a couple of years, which, by the way, what a prime location now,
Yes.
especially as things are popping up and the new Walmart's right over in that area, the new home office. But you're there for a couple of years, and then all of a sudden you're not.
Correct. Our lease was terminated 5 years early.
Okay.
It was a 7-year lease originally. And, at the same time, we knew we were growing a little bit faster in a way that we hadn't really planned exactly.
Yeah.
We had talked to Andy at Ozark and other folks when we opened up, and they always said, go bigger with your production than you really think,
Yeah.
because that's what we wish we would have done.
Mm-hmm.
And it just happened a lot fast. It just happened really fast for
Yeah.
us. So we were looking to find another place, but our landlord decided we needed to find another place sooner than that.
Oof.
Yep. We had to move in 6 months. So we had very
Oh,
short
gosh.
notice that we weren't able to be there. And it was pretty hard to find another location. We named ourselves Bentonville Brewing Company, so we were looking in Bentonville for
Yeah.
another building that we could put a brewery in, which is pretty specific. You have to have certain heights of ceilings, access. You needed to have good parking. One of the reasons we had to move was because parking was an issue.
Gotcha.
And so we knew we had these things that we needed, and we wanted to make sure we did it right, because we said when we move, we don't want to move again.
Yeah.
This should be where we end up.
Yeah.
And as we kept on finding places, looking at them, making an offer, finding out that place had just been closed by someone else or
Yeah.
missing the boat, we said, screw it, we're just going to buy some land, and we'll take some time, we'll build what we really, really want,
Yeah.
and what will be our forever home. So we
Sure.
bought some land off of, I think it's called Eagle Way, but it's off of 102, just east of the highway exit. So where the new oil change place is now.
Oh.
Kind of, before you get to Sam's Club.
Oh, okay.
So we were going to build
Gotcha.
a large location there, and
Sure.
then we said, we'll find whatever in the meantime, we'll make it work.
Yeah.
And our friends over at Ozark were moving to their spot
Yeah.
on First Street? No. Yeah, Arkansas?
I think so.
Downtown. And so we knew, hey, this building has already been approved for all the things we needed to do, because you need to have a federal TTB license, you have to have an ABC permit with
Sure.
the state of Arkansas, and it also has things like a floor drain and a boiler room and a walk-in cooler. And so we thought, if we're gonna have to move twice, let's not put a bunch of money into a temporary spot and
Sure.
really focus on the long run. So
Yeah.
that's how we became Bentonville Brewing Company in Rogers. And not just in Rogers, right over there, by Pinnacle, or close to Bentonville Rogers. It was
Right.
way east, way
Right.
into the heart of Rogers. And
It's like in baseball, the L.A. Angels of Anaheim or whatever. That's their name, or it was. I don't know what it is now. But anyway, yeah, I get the feeling.
so that was, the next phase of Bentonville Brewing Company. And while we were there, we knew we'd done some architectural drawings, got through large-scale development on our location that we were going to build, and it was going to be great. And we knew we were going to need bigger tanks, so we ordered those while we were there.
Yeah.
We ordered our new fermenters that we were going to use in our new larger facility when we ended up having that, and those were monsters compared to our 7-barrel and 14-barrel fermenters. We had 40s.
Oof.
So our brewers, which was just my husband Bo and our other brewer Chris, would have to brew 7 times over 2 days to fill up one of those.
Oh, gosh.
And that was a long day in an
Ooh.
unheated metal building, or better in the summertime, uncooled.
Oh, gosh. No wonder Ozark moved.
Yeah.
And you guys also, when you were there, it wasn't much of a tap room while you were there, too, right?
Correct. Our tap room was really only open Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday when we were in Rogers. We could run that with one person, and I mean, sales were so nominal that it was almost like we considered it like an expense on the marketing side of things. But it was a way for us to still like be in touch with our like really close fans. We had people who came all the time, and I know it was kind of grungy for a while.
Sure.
But it allowed us to really throw a lot of spaghetti at the wall, try weird things. We had like a dance party once. There was a music festival and there we had a ping pong table. So there'd be very competitive bouts of ping pong with the brewers.
Nice.
So that was always fun. And it's just one of those things that it was hard and we were all in it together, and when you look back on it, you know, it's almost like one of those scars or badges of that you're like, that was awful, but we can laugh at it now because it's so much time has passed.
It's scar tissue is what it is. Yeah, for sure. So from there, tell me about how you find this place.
Yeah. So I said we were working on that location off of 102 over by Sam's Club. We bought the land, got through large scale development, and I got a phone call from a woman with Rope Swing. And she said she just wanted to meet up and have a cup of coffee and talk about an idea for a property that they had. And we did. And she's a really nice lady named Brenda. And she said, hey, I know you guys already have a plan, but I just wanted to show you what we're doing. So we're doing this whole cool Quilt of Parks thing in Bentonville, or that's the future plan. I don't think they are doing the Quilt of Parks, but they did Osage Park, and they told me about the boardwalk and the expansion of the lake and how they're redoing the airport, and there'll be a restaurant, and there's going to be this climbing gym going in, and there's one other commercial property that'll be right in the corner, and they asked if we would ever consider putting a brewery there. And we said that sounds awesome, but we already have a spot.
Yeah.
And they said, I understand. And after talking about it more and talking about it with our partners, we weighed the option between allowing basically Rope Swing, which partway through the build, the arm that did this property became Blue Crane.
Yeah.
And so what was decided was we could either slowly build this property on land that we own with our own money and have like a phase 1, phase 2, most likely get investors in, have more owners so that we can insert capital and make that happen.
Yeah. Or
we could talk to Blue Crane more and see what this would look like. And what it ended up being, which was, hey, we will build to suit and lease it to you. And so we're like, well, you're not going to own the business, right? Like, no, we're just going to lease it to you. We'll own the building. I'm like, would you think of selling the building? Like, they were courteous enough to say, let me think about it. And then they're like, no.
Wow.
But
it's a good question then, right?
I don't know if they actually thought about it.
Oh my
They're
gosh.
probably like, no way. But I mean, at the end of the day, no, we don't own the building, we don't own the land, which stinks, but we are a completely family-owned business. It's just me, Lee, and my husband, and my husband's parents are investors too.
Nice.
So that's not something that a lot of places, a lot of breweries anywhere can say. So I'm pretty excited about that, and I think we made a good decision. But that's how this ended up happening. And
so they were building to specs, right?
Yes.
What was it like being able to draw out your dream brewery?
Well, I quickly learned all the things I don't know about architecture and all the things that go into it. And there was a team of engineers, there was architects. Basically, where I came in, it was really cool to see how each of, like, me and Lee and Bo, all of our personalities, like, fill a different need, because Lee was able to look at things from a different perspective. I'm probably more aesthetic and customer focused, and then Bo was able to say, like, these are all the pieces of equipment that we need now and might need in the future. And this is like how high the ceilings need to be, and this is how the floor needs to be sloped towards the drains, and this is the type of drain. And Lee's attention to detail is so annoyingly awesome that he everything from the coating on the floor of the brew house, which it sees a lot of action, like super hot temperatures, like really harsh and caustic chemicals, and lots of weight getting put on it. And so if you go to other breweries on the and you see like the brew house and you get to go on a tour, you notice like it could be even a pretty new place and the paint's chipping up off the ground and there's ruts in the concrete and stuff like that. And we're very blessed in our brew house. They did take most of our consideration, or most of our requests into consideration, and we got almost all that we wanted.
Nice.
At least that we knew we needed.
Okay, that's great.
So we have sloping floors. We've got excellent coating on the ground. We have, what's the other thing? We have an air conditioner. Most brew houses don't have climate control. So
that's great.
That helps us when we try to, recruit brewers or packaging people from around the area or even out of state. We can say, it's air conditioned. You'll never have to work in 100-degree weather.
And heated.
Yes. So,
there you go.
So that was nice. And the tap room, like we knew there were certain things that we wanted to have, like how large the bathrooms were going to be, how many taps we wanted.
Sure.
We knew we wanted to have a huge patio, and having that was really important.
Sure.
It was actually, I don't know if it was Blue Crane or some of the architects, their idea to put the pump track in, which has turned out to be like really cool. It started off as a playground because I said, hey, I've been to places where there's playgrounds, and it's awesome because the kids are going to mess around anyway, so you might as well give them something to do.
Right.
And it evolved from a playground to this pump track with the Strider bikes, which I wouldn't have thought of, but it's turned out to be like really fun for the families.
It's great. Awesome. So what was it like getting this place finally open?
It was, I think, similar to a lot of stories.
And it's keep in mind, this is, I think, while you're also closing down Rogers, right? Is it the same time?
We were trying to time it for the same time, but the project that was supposed to end, like we were supposed to be in this building in October of 2019, and that did not happen. So it was, one of those things as we're getting closer to that date where people are calling, people are asking, we're trying to make plans, we're hiring people to work there because we can't run this tap room with one person. Right. We have to have a few. We're hiring up, and when is it going to open? Well, it's going to open around Halloween. Well, it's going to be around Thanksgiving. Oh, it's going to be Christmas.
Yeah.
There's actually a really funny Facebook video we made a long time ago about it that you could dig up in our social media if you're so inclined.
Scroll.
It was essentially just what I said. But it was really exciting because we could come and we could tour and we could see everything getting done. And, every time you walk through, you're like, oh, we forgot about this, or we need this, and we're getting furniture and, buying all the little things that you think you need, and then you're just totally pumped to show it off.
Sure.
And you don't know what it's going to be like because our first location had a real fun, cozy tap room, but it didn't have as many seats. It didn't have this huge outside area. It didn't look the same. It was a very different feel. So it was just, what is this going to look like for us? We don't know. We just came off of 3 years of maybe like a $500 revenue week. That was what our average sales were like in Rogers.
So you were so close for a long time that you could taste it and you're like, gosh, just finish. Let's hurry.
Pretty much. We're ready to rip the Band-Aid off at that point. We felt like we've been soft opening forever.
Well, and then you soft open and open right into COVID. I mean, the hits keep coming.
Exactly.
Yeah.
We were going to open on, I think, we had planned on doing like a big opening on the 10th of April or something like that, and we just couldn't wait anymore, and we're like, what if we did like an April Fool's where we're like, oh, we're open now, but we really are. I don't know. We thought about it too much.
That's kind of brilliant.
Essentially.
Honestly.
And so we're like, okay, let's do it. We got people who will be here. We're ready to go. We've played with the point of sale. We're feeling good about things. And, you know, this thing that we've been hearing about February and worrying about is now so real that no one is, like, everyone's supposed to stay home if they can. It was so...
It's just depressing.
I don't even know how to put into words.
Anticlimactic. Yeah.
I know, and not just like that for us, because
Like a true buzzkill.
exactly.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, it wasn't so much about like, oh my God, we can't open the tap room, because the brewery was a manufacturing facility and we could still make the beer, even though we were concerned. Like, everyone was concerned. No one knew what that was going to look like.
Yeah.
But we had 12 people on staff in the tap room that we had hired who had cleared their schedule and were depending on us for an income.
Oh, yeah.
And you could, I mean, I don't even think, this had to have been way before PPP was even a thing.
Right.
And all those grants. But, I mean, even if we were to apply for something like that, it would have all been based on the numbers from the last 3 years that we were in Rogers, where we had a completely different business model, and so it wouldn't have done our staff any good to even try. But what I thought was very interesting was that our sales, just to go out the door, like call it in, put it in online, and we like walk it out to your car with a mask and do contactless payment. Those were better than our taproom sales in Rogers.
No kidding.
Wow. So we would have one, the taproom manager at the time would work here and be available for those sales, car side sales. And then we really spent a lot more than you probably need to time, like making silly social media videos.
Well, you have the time, right?
I know, we had all the time.
Right.
And then also there was like some parts of the contract, like the cleaning contract or the construction contract, where they were still wrapping up cleaning. And we had made the offer to Olkey, who was the contractor who did this job, say, hey, can we do that for you? Because we need to pay these people something, and they have time, and they need to do something.
Brilliant.
So we had taproom people, our taproom attendants and beer tenders were like on the roof cleaning all the like construction dust off, and they were tidying up and making dump runs and, you know, doing landscaping and doing things that were just outside of the box that, because we moved, we were able to pay them to do, like wrap up the other location, break things down, take things to the dump, clean that spot. So we all were janitors and social media influencers for a short time.
That's great. That's great. And you guys, I assume, I guess we kind of skipped over this part, but the curbside orders, you guys were already canning, or were these growlers, or both?
They were both.
Okay.
We had not been canning, though. We didn't start that right away. We had our bottling line, so I don't know if anyone remembers our bottles. But when we moved to Rogers, we had figured out, since we basically had no taproom business, that we needed to get into the distribution game in a different way. So we had bought a Maheen bottler and started doing that. And we were one of the only... I think we were the only local brewery that had beer in bottles for a while.
I think so. And I think also during that time, the cost of aluminum shot through the roof.
It was another happy accident for us that we were doing bottles, and we could get manufactured bottles from Our Dog, which is out of Sepulchre, Oklahoma. It's like outside Tulsa, right?
Yeah.
So it's very close. So as far as like cost of transport, like it's not coming from overseas. It's not coming from far away. And we had all this space in Rogers, so we could store a truckload of bottles on site and really keep our costs down, which was great when all of a sudden aluminum couldn't be had, and people were having to do all sorts of pivoting and like patching in orders from multiple suppliers. It was thankfully something we didn't have to deal with. Well,
talking with Marty over at Ozark, and they tracked a shipment in, and they went to New York to pick it up, or else they would have missed an order with Walmart. I mean, that's how aluminum was during that time. You guys, happy accident indeed.
Yep.
Yeah, awesome. Well, and then you get through COVID, and you can finally realize the potential of this place and this tap room and all that's involved. How is it finally getting there? By the way, the stupidest question ever, but please continue.
No, it's not stupid at all. No, we were, and it's just because it was so different for us before when we were in Rogers, and then we opened up and it was 2020.
Yeah.
We didn't really know what to expect, but it was still so much better for us than it was prior. But we knew, like, these aren't real numbers. We call them COVID numbers. They're just COVID numbers.
Right.
We don't know what that means.
Right.
2021 will be better. Well, it really kind of wasn't, but was. It was that weird transition time where we had people who were like, no COVID, and then people travel here from all over, and so there's like this clash of stuff happening that you're having to kind of balance.
What's right, what's not, but
I don't know.
Yeah.
So glad we don't have to make the decision anymore.
Right.
But still, like, it was still affecting sales.
Sure.
And I think good or bad for us because we have such a large outdoor area. I mean, even people who are really concerned about COVID still, or at the time, they would still come here because they could be outside and it was fine. Then 2022, we're like, this is our first real year of data.
Oh.
And I don't think that was true. But it was, it's really hard to decide, like, when is it going to be something that we can benchmark off of, because I can pinpoint all these different things that happened in all those years, and it's COVID, post-COVID. Now we're comparing to that. Things are still going crazy, but people were still, working from home.
Yeah.
And so that was a really interesting thing. So we're like, man, we were really expecting more people to be out for lunches, but they're really not. It's been really great. We were seeing lots and lots of growth, which I think part of it is because of all the people moving to the area.
Yep.
And we're still seeing growth year over year, but it's less dramatic this year than it has been in the past, which is fine by me because it's more even instead of being like slow on the weekdays, wild, crazy weekends. We're just kind of evening out a little bit, and that's been really great.
Good.
Yeah.
Well, speaking of really great, you ready to talk beer?
I'm always ready to talk some beer. It's going to make me thirsty, though.
There you go. If you could only find... Oh, it's just right there.
I know. Come over here, guys.
That's it. All right. We will talk beer. We've got that, the Mike Engelman Home Pro Tip of the Week, and that's coming up next right here on the Flavors of Northwest Arkansas.
Let me show you something.
Connect with us at Flavors of Northwest Arkansas on Facebook and Instagram, or by email at flavorsofnwa@gmail.com.
Alrighty, it is that time, the Mike Engelman Home Pro Tip of the Week, and for that, we're going to Katie. Katie, what do you got for us?
Well, this is actually a tip that my mother-in-law gave me.
Oh.
So as a mother-in-law of a brewery owner, she gets a lot of perks in the form of beer, and she started using Space Goose to marinate chicken breasts.
Oh.
Because she's more of like one of those chicken thigh people who's like, I don't like a chicken breast. It's too iffy. It might get dry.
Okay.
Well, she's been marinating it for like an hour or two in a can of Space Goose, and she says it's the moistest chicken breast she ever had.
There you go, Space Goose IPA, which we'll be talking about here in a moment. We'll be right back.
Your story doesn't have to end. As an organ donor, the good in you can live on. In fact, you can save up to 8 lives through organ donation. Sign up to give the gift of life after you're gone. You'll be happy you did. Just maybe, someone else will too. Sign up online today as an organ, eye, and tissue donor at organdonor.gov. It saves lives.
OrganDonor.gov is the place to go, of course. It's so important to be an organ donor. As of this May, there were over 105,000 people in the U.S. on the organ donor wait list. and 91,000 of those were people waiting for a kidney, which I was fortunate enough to get one back in 2022. I've talked with a few people that have an interest in being a living donor, and that's the most selfless thing you can do. If you want to, or if you just want to find out more information, go to kidney.org if you want to just see what is required and if you qualify to be a living donor. If not, I totally get it, because it's a huge thing and requires a lot of time. However, if you're not an organ donor, go to organdonor.gov. You can also hit the health app on your iPhone to get signed up, or go old school, go to the DMV or the Department of Finance if you're in Arkansas. And if you're getting a new license, just signify to them that you are an organ donor, and they'll take it from there. Organdonor.gov is where to go. Thank you. And welcome back. We're with Katie. We're here in the tap room of Bentonville Brewing, and you ready to talk beer?
Always.
Always ready to talk beer. How much do you guys brew nowadays?
Well, this year we're on track to produce 6,500 to 7,000 barrels of beer.
Goodness. Wow.
Yeah.
Compared to your first year, I would think that's probably quite the change.
It really is.
Yeah.
It really is.
Dear John, say something obvious. So how much of that, like what percentage is tap room, what percentage in just high level, is tap room versus wholesale and retail?
A percentage of the production for the tap room would probably be like 30%.
Okay.
We actually send afield a lot of our beer.
Okay.
Even though this tap room is large and we serve a lot of customers,
Yeah.
I mean, that's only one of those large kegs is only 120 beers.
Fair point.
So yeah, it's a surprise, but the revenue is a little bit more 50-50 on that.
Okay.
Margins on kegs and
Yeah.
glasses of beer is better than cases, but we've gotten to the point where I think there are not many, if any, places you can go locally and not get something that we make.
Yeah.
Usually it's Space Goose or Home Wrecker.
Sure.
Yeah, it's available in all the liquor stores. We've even been making short runs down to Little Rock here and there.
Okay.
As a self-distributing brewery, we can't really get all over the state.
Sure.
We also have not ever gotten a distributor because we've, until recently, always been playing the balancing game of we have a lot of this beer, no room in the cooler, not enough kegs, out of this beer.
Sure.
So we've been learning that, and we've not had excess to distribute outside of what we already are. So
Nice.
we have pretty healthy levels right
Yeah,
now.
and speaking of, I mean, that was really important for you guys in Rogers, especially when you were there, right?
It was huge because it allowed us to have a lot of control over the quality of our product.
Yeah.
As a brewery starts to distribute and you let the beer leave your place, you hope that people take care of it. And that sounds like I'm a crazy person,
It
probably,
makes all the
but
sense.
the moment like someone decides like, hey, I'm going to try a new beer, and maybe that 6-pack costs $12, well, that's not nothing. That's like an expensive 6-pack.
Yeah.
And if it doesn't taste good because it was warm,
Right.
or because it was oxygenated, or something,
Right.
they just might not ever give your brand another chance. So that was super important to us, and I think it allowed us to be diligent about that, but also about customer service. I purchase from distributors too, so I'm on both sides of these things.
Sure.
It can be a pain in the butt to just like give someone your money to get a thing, and we try to make that very, very easy.
Sure.
And also understand that we're a small business. There's tons of small businesses that buy our product for their customers. And like if they run out and it's an off-cycle delivery day, or if something is wrong, it is not uncommon that we've gone and checked on like some part of their draft system that has nothing to do with our beer line or how our beer is pouring, but they know that they can call us and that we care about their business and that we'll come out and help them if we can. So
That's great. Well, it's a win-win for both.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. And it's super, super important that your beer tastes as it should.
Yes, we'd be so surprised what just like cleaning a line would do.
Yeah.
Makes a big difference.
We all remember those old hole-in-the-wall bars like in the 90s where the beer comes out mostly flat, and it was usually domestic, nothing local, and, nobody bats an eye. You can't have that with these, especially.
No, I mean, we don't pasteurize our beer either, so you have to be careful about that.
That's interesting.
But yeah, cleaning the lines is a big deal.
Yeah, it's a big thing.
If you don't know if people are doing it, just order something in a can. You'll be fine.
Yeah, right? That's a great call.
Yeah.
That's a great call. I had mentioned earlier about the first amount of beer that you guys brewed starting out. What was that first beer that you guys made in your first place?
The first commercially brewed Bentonville Brewing Company beer was an amber ale.
Okay.
That we called Amber Ale. Until it was then called Slingshot Amber Ale.
Okay.
And then called City Slicker Amber Ale. And then we decided to make an amber lager instead. So that first amber ale, if you were lucky enough to have had some of that, and you are a fan of our Hills and Hollers Amber Lager now, that beer is about 6 iterations away from that original one.
How about that?
So.
Interesting. What a lineage.
Yeah.
Yeah, very nice. Well, we've got to get into some of the beers, and you've already mentioned a few of them, and I'd love to get into them. One of the most popular of your early, and it's still probably, I would think, one of the most popular today, Homewrecker, a big old beer.
Yeah, it's my favorite.
Yeah, tell me about it.
Homewrecker, which started its story off as IPA on our board.
Okay.
Right now, that really nicely named amber ale.
There it is.
It was always a big beer, and I just, at the time, my husband doesn't have any commercial brewing experience prior to working for us. It was just going places, and he has a very good palate, and I think it was just brewing to his taste. And at the time, we didn't really realize, if you make really high alcohol content beer, you're very limited at where you can put it.
Sure.
So, later on, that's how we ended up coming up with other IPAs that were not quite as big.
Yeah.
But we were just brewing what we loved. I think he took a lot of inspiration. I know, because we talked about it.
Sure.
He took a lot of inspiration from our favorite Colorado brewery, Odell's. We lived right next door to that brewery, and so that was the first IPA I ever liked. Before I was more of a brown ale, dark lager, ambers, personal taste. Now, man, that's usually the first thing I order anywhere I go. But that is how we kind of designed the Homewrecker, to make sure that it wasn't super bitter, and make sure that it wasn't overly sweet.
Yeah.
And it was just right there in the middle.
Nice. Awesome. Well, it's such a big beer, you had to make a little one.
Yeah, and it's just a little guy.
Just a little guy? Talk about little guy.
Yeah, so when we got that bottler, moved to Rogers, we had to figure out how to get our beer in as many places as possible. And we were actually Walmart actually reached out to us. Nice. I think the buyer at the time, Teresa Budd, she was passionate about beer, and she was trying to, and I think Walmart also was trying to have local sections. This is how it started off, was we were going to have an end cap. It's just going to be local beer. It's just going to be in the stores you can service. It's going to be whatever you guys need it to be to make it work. We're trying to fill this need for our customers, which I thought was, I didn't grow up here, so I had different different thoughts about Walmart before I lived here. So I was that's crazy. I never thought a giant store like that would want to do that.
Sure.
So she had contacted other local breweries, and we didn't set out to be known as a brewery that makes really great IPAs. We thought, our amber ale would be our flagship. It's so approachable. It's middle of the road.
Sure.
It's got body. It's got flavor, but not too much, and it's not bitter. But it was so quickly, Homewrecker became what we were known for. And now we're in a position where we need to put it in grocery stores. But we can't put it in grocery stores because it's 7.5% alcohol, and the limit is 6.3. So we had to make a little wrecker.
That's it.
And it's not, I know some folks think like it's exactly the same beer, just less alcohol content, and that's not necessarily true. It's got a lot of the same malt bill, but not as much sweetness, and it had slightly different hops.
Okay.
So they are different beers, but the intent is like it's just a little wrecker.
Yeah,
and now you can have your IPA, delicious.
It's great.
Well-balanced IPA. You can get it at a grocery store, and that's how that one came about.
So, and I don't know about you, but I am a very seasonal beer guy. When it's 100 degrees out, I want something light and crisp. And when it gets to 20 degrees out, I want something that I can't see through.
Yeah.
Basically. So tell me a little bit about the Natural State Porter.
Absolutely. So the porter.
Another long track record.
Yeah, it is from, and you know, the recipe's maybe been tweaked a tiny bit here and there, but that's just based on new equipment and
you bet.
scenarios. But it's essentially the same porter that we've always had. And originally it was called Naked Porter because it didn't have anything in it. Like most breweries around here had, you know, in their main lineup, they had a stout to cover that dark side of things that they had. And we saw that over and over again in local breweries. They had a stout, and we didn't want to just kind of do the same thing that everyone else was doing, so we wanted to have a porter. And not only was there no local porters, but there wasn't even like a porter you could get at the liquor store that didn't have peanut butter or marshmallow or chocolate or coffee in it. It was always, you know, or coconut even. Like, it was just, nothing was just like the beer itself. So we thought we'd call a Naked Porter because it was just a porter with no extra stuff. Like the notes of coffee and chocolate that you get in the beer are just from the roast on the malt. So.
Yeah. Awesome. I've got to go back to another IPA that you've already mentioned that marinates with chicken well, Space Goose. Tell me.
Space Goose Hazy IPA. You know, the haze craze happened, and we needed to get on board with that. So we developed a recipe, and it's so funny because, you know, if you listen to a lot of brewing podcasts, or if you read about it, or you know a brewer, or at least someone who's been doing it for more than 10 years, they're going to tell you, like, for the longest time you didn't want a hazy beer. Like, you're looking for clarity in your beer and like crisp flavors, and hazy just took that whole everything that you've learned and like turned it on its head.
Yeah.
And you're like, no, you want it to be hazy, not just hazy, because you'd think, oh, you just do the opposite of what you're supposed to do to make a hazy beer. Well, you don't. And it's hard to keep that haze in suspension. It's like, you know, if you've had a Belgian wit before, those are typically hazy beers, but if they're not fresh, that haze drops out of the beer, and then it looks like a clear beer.
Yeah.
So that was interesting. I don't know if my husband would agree, but from what he's told me over the dinner table, it seems like the most complex thing he's had to make over time. Just making changes to make sure that the flavor is right, to make sure that the look is right, to make sure that the color is right, and that also you, for a long time, it was the most volatile beer in bottles that we had. Because of its prone to change colors if it was light struck or oxygenated at all or old at all. We used to make these little hanging tags that we would like tie a little string and hang it over one of the necks of the bottles in your 6-pack that said like, keep cold and please enjoy by this date. And it was like 30 days away from our bottling date. And we did all these things to try to make sure that like you had it at the best point in its life. And so that's been a labor of love for sure. And it ended up being just the most wildly successful thing we've done. I thought Homewrecker would always be our bread and butter, but Space Goose took it over in volume, in popularity. I think part of that was when we finally really broke into the Fayetteville market. That is what's most popular in Fayetteville.
How about that?
Yeah.
That's great. And listen,
Siloam is full of Homewrecker drinkers, though. I see you guys.
Okay. All right. Shout out to Siloam. I will say, personally, now I can't really, because I can't have anything with grapefruit, so there's a lot of hazy IPAs that I can't have, but let me tell you, there's nothing better, in my estimation, than a near freezing temperature hazy IPA. So screaming cold. Oh, it's the best thing. It's so good.
It's very, very juicy. And I think it's been another reason why it's been so popular. People have these conceptions about IPAs and being bitter and hops and not liking them. And when people come in and say, I don't know what I want, I really like wheat beers, do you have a wheat beer? We usually point them to the Space Goose.
Okay.
I mean, for someone who's not going to have a wheat beer and they're used to drinking Blue Moon, that's going to be the closest thing we have with all those huge orange and citrus flavors in it.
Interesting. Okay.
And how smooth it is.
Awesome.
The way to go.
Very cool. We talked about stouts a second ago. I got to hear about Deliverance.
Deliverance is one of our...
and I'm thinking about the movie, obviously.
Of course. And that's what you're supposed to think of.
Okay,
that's
great,
why we named it
great.
that.
All
and that's
right.
why it's got that fun hog skull on the label. That was where
That's great.
we were trying to see what we could do with making just like big, bold, thick, sipping stouts.
Yeah.
And it's been really fun because we've done it every year, and it's usually the same unless we barrel age it. And then we've done a few rounds of that, and I think we have some aging in barrels right now.
Nice.
But
like regular or flavored barrels or
bourbon barrels.
Bourbon barrels. Okay, great. Nice.
So that always makes it just that much more impressive, I think.
Yeah.
Just more oaky. You know, you can taste a little bit of the vanilla and the bourbon and the spice.
It is really sipping at that point.
It really is.
Yeah.
It's like 13.5%, I think.
Gosh.
It's, we always thought it was really fun. Like I said, I'm from Illinois.
Yeah.
So when we would visit family around Thanksgiving, one of our traditions was always to go on the hunt for the Bourbon County bottles that would be released on Black Friday.
Okay.
So when the opportunity came and the space and the timing was right to make our own Imperial Stout, we, thought about all the ones we love, like Bourbon County by Goose Island, and of course Ozark makes such a fantastic stout, and we just wanted to do something similar, but ourselves.
Sure.
And so that's what we've been doing. It's probably more like a favorite of the staff than it is of the market. But
I get that.
we do stuff because we like it.
They're so good.
Yeah.
They're so good. Lawyers, Hogs, and Money Bach.
Our winner.
Hey, tell me. Winner chicken dinner.
Yes. I'm looking at our medal on the wall.
Yeah.
So that one is super exciting. I love that beer so much, and we've been making it for several years.
Okay.
It actually started off not being called Lawyers, Hogs, and Money. It's kind of a funny story, actually.
Well, good thing we got a podcast
I
here.
know. So a local business owner and friend had suggested that we make a Bock because he loves German beers. And he said, and it'd be so cool if you called it Razorbock. Everyone would love it. And we're like, that is a good idea.
Yeah.
And we did. Look at your face.
I'm
where
waiting.
it's
I'm bracing.
going.
Yeah.
And so we did, and it was just available in kegs, and it was some of our, seasonal things that we'd rotate in. Well, one day we got that letter from the university saying that you can't call something Razorbock even though it's not a Razorback.
Yeah.
But, we didn't have any labels or our money put into it, and, that's, even if we win that fight, we're going to lose in lawyer fees and time.
Of course.
So we said, fine, we'll just rename it, whatever, you guys.
To the situation it's in.
So dumb. And so, big Warren Zevon fans, big Widespread Panning fans, have you heard the song Lawyers, Guns, and Money?
I'm not familiar, no.
You should look it up. It's very good.
Okay.
But we just named it Lawyers, Hogs, and Money. So we have some other beers that are named after songs.
Okay.
But that one is a favorite, and we
Nice.
thought it was funny because it kind of is a nod to the legal
Yeah,
threat
of course.
of
the situation,
the college.
as it were. Well,
and then it won an award.
Yes, please tell me.
Yes, so we submitted that along with some other beers to the Great American Beer Fest in Denver, Colorado. It happens annually, and there were, I don't know, in that category, there were 60 entries or more.
Okay.
I'd have to fact check me, but hundreds of categories and thousands of entries overall in this event.
Sure.
And we found out that we won silver, and we found out during an Oktoberfest in downtown Rogers. And so that was so fun because we were with all of our local brewery friends.
Wow.
And we got to celebrate the win, and it was a big deal for our brewer. Shout out to Ken and Haney, who brewed that batch.
Nice.
And we were just really, really proud.
That's great.
To get a little recognition.
Really cool. Yeah.
Shine a light on Arkansas beer.
There you go. There you go. And Arkansas cider. You've got a cider.
We do. We started making a dry, we call it scrumpy cider. It's a dry cider.
Mm-hmm.
And as much as I love super, super dry ciders, lots of people just wanted us to put fruit in it. And so we've been experimenting with that. So we've done a few different versions. The first, I think, was a blueberry pomegranate. That was really popular.
Yeah.
The raspberry one, oh my gosh, it tasted like jam. The smell, when they make it in the brewery, it smells so good.
Oh, wow.
But that is the latest iteration of cider. And so we're not trying to light the world on fire with the cider. We're just trying to make people happy.
Yeah.
And we're experimenting with different fruit combinations.
Yeah.
The next one's going to be pineapple, which is really exciting.
Oh, interesting.
And then, if one seems to outshine all the others, we'll kind of revisit that.
Sure.
But it's been a fun experiment to use that scrumpy, dry base and then see what kind of quality fruit in season or around that we can get. So
It's great.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Speaking of fruit, your sours.
That's been a really fun program too.
Yeah.
The latest, we've always had fun with sours, and we had like a salted cherry sour for a while that we put in bottles.
Yum.
But that is where we're having a really fun time being innovative, and like our brewers are pumping out so much Space Goose. They brew it several times a week.
Yeah.
So this is like their way of having like a little bit of creativity and
Sure.
some fun, and
Yeah.
so these latest sours were the flavors and fruits were picked out by our brewers Josh and Lauren.
Okay.
And they chose a red plum and cardamom combination for one that's called Cardi P. Just fun. And the other is a blackberry sage. So both
Interesting.
are, and we always release two at a time because we make one large batch of cider, or not cider, of a base beer that's sour.
Okay.
And then we split it into our two smaller tanks.
Okay.
And then we finish them off differently, so then we can have a little variety.
Sure.
And it's been really fun. At our morning meeting, we were talking about what we wanted to do for the next ones, and there was no ideas yet on the table. So if anybody has anything they want to see,
there you go.
Send it our way.
There it is.
We love hearing I never would have thought plum and cardamom, but it goes so well together. And
Interesting.
Yeah.
Huh. Very cool. Well, what is up next for you guys?
Oh man, that's
It's
a great
lot.
question.
I know. Well, I know you got, at the very least, you got Oktoberfest coming up.
Yes, we got Oktoberfest coming up. We always do a little celebration here on site. I believe ours is the 4th of October. If you come to the brewery that weekend, first weekend of October, we have like fun steins, like games, cool decorations. The different food trucks, they do stuff. Like Nosh Nola usually makes like brat tachos, which is fun. And I think Tony's Taste of Chicago, they'll have some brats and buns and different things. Little vendor market. And later on in that month, we are going to have some Scottish Highland cows on site for photo ops. So if you've never seen a hairy cow before,
this is great.
You can come here, drink beer, and ogle the cows. I believe like little like the opportunity to pet them and stuff is
Wow.
already sold out. But we hope to work with this person more to bring fun experiences like that
That's
here.
great.
It's just,
That's great.
I don't know.
I think
How
I think
we
that,
come up with this
I think
stuff
that could
sometimes.
qualify as a first, like for anywhere. I'm assuming.
I know 4x4's done it in Missouri, so
Okay.
I don't know, but it's the first I've heard of it.
Same.
Yeah.
Same. 100%.
Yep. But I'm excited about that.
Yeah. Awesome. Katie, thank you for your time.
Yeah, thank you.
I appreciate it. This has been great.
It's been awesome.
How can folks find you?
Best way to find us is follow us on Facebook and Instagram. That's our most up-to-date info
Great.
that you can get.
Awesome. Flavors of Northwest Arkansas, also on Facebook and Instagram and TikTok. How about that? I know, I'm awful.
You're TikToking.
I'm awful. I'm so bad at it. I really am. Thanks for joining us. Please tip your servers. Have a great week. We'll see you next week. Bye-bye.